Хочу задать один очень простой вопрос. Даже если представить себе, что все то, что утверждают о военном сотрудничестве России и КНДР наши западные коллеги, вдруг оказалось бы правдой, почему Соединенные Штаты и их союзники пытаются навязать всему миру гнилую логику о том, что они имеют право помогать режиму Зеленского, мобилизуя для этого весь военный и разведывательный потенциал НАТО, а союзники России делать этого права не имеют? Откуда, дамы и господа, у вас это не колониальное ощущение собственной исключительности и безнаказанности, ничем не обоснованная вера в то, что можно вам, нельзя другим?
This is my video update on this Friday afternoon, November the 1st, coming to you from Nicosia, Cyprus. Let's talk about some news. And let's start things off with the reports from CNN and Axios, which claim that Iran is going to be striking Israel any day now, before the U.S. elections, is what they're saying. Iran wants to strike Israel, according to their sources, before the U.S. elections. Now, Iran hitting Israel, striking back at Israel for the Israeli strikes of last week is possible, maybe probable. Yeah, that Iran is going to strike back at Israel. But I'm a little bit suspicious about the claim from CNN and Axios that Iran wants to do this before the U.S. elections. I've never thought of Iran as planning their responses or their strategy around U.S. events. I don't know. It doesn't, the part about wanting to hit Israel before the U.S. elections doesn't fit with how Iran has been playing this out over the past couple of months, many months. They want to hit Israel before the U.S. elections in order to do what? To cause some chaos before the elections. I don't know, to send a message to the United States that they might hit Israel, they might strike at Israel. Yeah, possible, probable. That I can see, but I don't know. The before elections thing doesn't make much sense to me, but who knows? Maybe CNN and Axios' sources are spot on. They have sources, CNN and Axios. I don't have sources. I'm just the guy with the camera, so who knows? We'll see. We will see, because the elections are right around the corner, so we'll see if Iran decides to hit Israel before the vote in the U.S. And does that have any effect on the elections or anything like that? No. So I'm having some trouble understanding the reason why they're putting this deadline, CNN and Axios, for an Iranian retaliation into Israel. But anyway, we will see. And Newsweek is reporting that there is one country and one leader, one president, who may be able to broker a ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah, some sort of a peace in the Middle East. And that leader is not Joe Biden. It is not Joe Biden. It is Russian President Vladimir Putin. That is what Newsweek is reporting. They ran an article yesterday with the title, "At War in Ukraine, Putin emerges as potential peace broker in the Middle East." We talked about this on the Duran, that Russia is possibly working in the Middle East to try and get some sort of a ceasefire. And Alexander, he called this one about 3 weeks ago, in one of his video updates, and many of his video updates. he said that he believes that the Russian hand of diplomacy is now working in the Middle East to try and prevent a war between Iran and Israel, or a wider war in the Middle East. Alexander was looking at the situation and seeing the various trips from Russian delegations to the Middle East, the delegations from the Middle East and Israel to Moscow, and he came to the conclusion weeks ago that Russia may be working at brokering some sort of a ceasefire in the region, and he's right. He was proven right, and the Duran was proven right. Now Newsweek is reporting on Russia's diplomatic efforts to get a ceasefire according to Newsweek, between Israel and Hezbollah. And Newsweek explains why Russia, we know, everyone that watches this channel and everyone that watches Alexander's channel and the Duran's channel, we know why Russia is perfectly positioned to broker some sort of a ceasefire, because Russia, even though their relationship with Israel is strained, they still keep the door open to Israel. They've kept the door open to Israel. You can see that from many of the statements that Putin has made. While he has condemned the war in Gaza, he has always kept the door open to Israel for diplomacy. He never shut the door. And we do have Israeli delegations which have traveled to Moscow multiple times. And of course, Russia obviously has good relations with Iran. Iran is now in BRICS, so Russia is one of the few countries that has dialogue with all of the parties in the various conflicts in the Middle East, and they're the country that can talk to everybody, something that the U.S. cannot do. And actually, they even have an Israeli official saying as much in this Newsweek article, saying that they would prefer the U.S. to be involved in some sort of a ceasefire, but Russia, they're the ones that can talk to us as Israel. They're the ones that can talk to Iran. They're the ones that can talk to all the parties in the region. So that is the reporting from Newsweek. Boy, if Putin brokers a ceasefire, I think it's a long shot, but if he does manage to broker some sort of a ceasefire in the Middle East, boy, is the Biden White House, they are going to, and the European Union, man, they are going to go crazy. They're going to go crazy if that happens. We'll see. We will see. So the Biden White House, always making friends. They are always making friends on the international stage. They have decided to sanction Indian companies. Yep, companies in India are now on the sanctions escalation escalator. They're going up that escalator. They're joining Russia. They're joining China, North Korea, and Iran. They've been on that escalator for a while now. They're pretty high up on that escalator. Russia's very high up on that escalator. China's a good way up on the sanctions escalator, and India's just starting its journey up the escalator. And when you get on that escalator, there's no way down. It never goes down. You just keep on going up. And so the Biden White House, they have announced that they are sanctioning, I believe they said 14 companies in India, because these companies, they claim, are providing aircraft parts to Russia. And these parts are helping the Russian war machine in Ukraine. So they're on the sanctions escalator. Making friends. Biden White House making friends. Oh boy, so China, they're sanctioning a U.S. company. How about that? How about that? China is sanctioning a U.S. drone manufacturer which gets its parts from China. I forgot the company's name in the U.S. I think it's Sky something. Anyway, China is sanctioning this U.S. company because the U.S. continues to send weapons to Taiwan, and in response to the escalation in Taiwan, China has decided to sanction this drone manufacturer. Actually, I believe one of the largest U.S. drone manufacturers gets all its parts from China, so that not all its parts, most of its parts, so that it can manufacture drones. Now, the interesting twist to this story is that these drones that are being manufactured in the U.S. with Chinese parts, which are now not available to this company, are many of the drones that Ukraine uses in the conflict with Russia. So bad news for Alinskys. Very bad news for Alinskys. And speaking of Alinskys, we are getting reports from German media that the collective West is very concerned with Alinskys' English skills. His English skills. They're also concerned with Yermak's poor English as well. And collective West leaders, according to German media, they're frustrated at the fact that Alinskys and Yermak, they insist on speaking English, even though their English is terrible, and many people don't understand what they're saying. And this causes all kinds of confusion with the statements that they make. They insist on speaking English when they should be using an interpreter. When you're going to make official statements and you're not a native speaker, you're not a fluent English speaker, it's always best to use an interpreter, especially when you're making official statements. If you're just engaged in small talk, hello, how are you, or you want to crack a joke or something like that, then fine, you can speak in English. But if you're going to make official statements, use an interpreter, so there are no misunderstandings. But Alinskys and Yermak, they refuse to use interpreters. Not all the time, but most of the time. They prefer to show off their English skills, and this is causing all kinds of problems and misunderstandings. And that's what the German media is saying. That is what they are reporting. They say that Yermak's English skills are extremely poor, and Alinskys' English is only mediocre. This is coming from the German daily Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung. U.S. officials are not always certain they correctly understand what Ukrainian leader Alinskys and Chief of Staff Yermak are trying to say, because both men often shun the services of interpreters despite lacking fluency in English. Because Alinskys and his entertainment lawyer Yermak, it's a show to them. They want to speak English because it's a performance. They don't think that what they're saying is an official statement representing the government of Ukraine, or at least they don't realize it. To them, it's a show. It's a performance. It's a show, and so they want to speak English because it's part of the performance. Green T-shirts, all of it is part of the performance. That's why they don't use an interpreter. The Kremlin responded to the Tomahawks ask that Alinskys placed in his victory plan, the secret annex of the victory plan, which asked the Pentagon, the U.S. military, to provide Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine, or as Alinskys called them the other day, Tomahawks, Tomahawks, because he was using the Russian pronunciation of hawks, Tomahawks, and he was pronouncing it like Tomahawks. Interpreter, man, interpreter. Interpreter. Anyway, Peskov said that this is just another stunt from the Alinskys regime to try and get the United States, NATO, involved in the conflict in Ukraine. That's all it is. Because if Tomahawks were given to Ukraine, if any long-range missiles were given to Ukraine, Taurus, ATACMS, whatever, we know that they would need collective West military in Ukraine firing those missiles. We definitely know that those missiles would need U.S. satellite surveillance targeting, but according to Russian officials, even Putin, that if the long-range missiles were given to Ukraine, then most likely you would have U.S. military or German military, NATO military on the ground in Ukraine actually firing those long-range missiles at Russia, and well, that would be World War III, right? So that is what Peskov said. It's just another way to try and get the U.S. and NATO into a hot war with Russia. And Lavrov, he actually called Alinskys' victory plan, he called it schizophrenic. He said his victory plan is schizophrenic. Several weeks ago, Alinskys also published a no less schizophrenic victory plan, stressing that neither the peace formula, nor the plan, nor Kiev's fantasies about becoming a member of NATO or EU are helping to establish peace in Europe. He actually called the peace formula stupid. That is what he called it. Ukraine's backers have been promoting Alinskys' dead end, and I would even say stupid peace formula, which calls for Russia's capitulation. His peace formula, he say my peace formula stupid. And Podolyak, he say my victory plan is schizophrenic. What is this word? Anyway, that is what Lavrov said. He's right. The peace formula is stupid. Yeah, spot on there. And his victory plan is stupid as well. Schizophrenic. Okay, stupid, man. It's stupid. Absolutely stupid. Zelensky wants to take the world to a nuclear war, so he can protect his position as the comedian president of Ukraine. And the crazy part is that there are leaders in Europe, in the collective West, that are still supporting this guy. After we now know that he's willing to risk all-out nuclear annihilation, and they're still supporting him and still keeping him in office. Unbelievable. Unfreaking believable. So the New York Times, they put out an article with the title "Russia's Swift March Forward in Ukraine's East," and they have a graph. The New York Times, you're seeing it on your screen right now, which shows the huge Russian progress made in October, the most territory gained this October, or at least since July 2022. This is the most territory gained by the Russian military, because the collective West, they see everything in terms of territory. When it comes to this conflict, everything is analyzed, is judged, success, failure, by the amount of territory that is gained or lost. Yes, Russia is gaining a lot of territory, but for Russia, what's more important is the attrition. The demilitarization is more important for Russia. And even today, the New York Times, the collective West media, still cannot see the type of war that Russia has been waging in Ukraine. They're still stuck on territorial gains, and yes, Russia is gaining territory, yeah, but it's annihilating, destroying the Ukraine military as it's gaining that territory. And the article talks about how Pokrovsk is going to be the ultimate target for the Russian military, the ultimate city to capture for the Russian military. And once they capture Pokrovsk, it's a big what is it? A big arrow offensive all the way to the Dnieper. Easier terrain, things are going to speed up, and it's going to be a catastrophic situation for the Ukraine military. That is what the New York Times is reporting. Quite an admission from the NYT, but still, they're still not understanding the war that Russia has been waging and continues to wage. According to analyst Vincent Touré, Ukraine's defense is increasingly collapsing and the terrain is becoming more favorable for Russian attacks. The Ukraine armed forces are suffering from a severe personnel shortage. Russia's rapid advances confirm the overall picture. Reserves are low. Too many quality units are stuck in the Kursk area, and Russia has enough forces to exploit any weaknesses. Russia's recent advances point to another weakness in Ukraine, say military experts, the lack of fortification. Ukraine has weakened its positions in Donbass by redeploying experienced units to Russia's Kursk region. Many units there belong to the territorial defense, consisting primarily of civilians. This is a post from Zlati71, who highlights some of the analysis from this New York Times article, some of the interviews of military experts in this New York Times article, who are basically painting a very bleak picture for the Alinskys regime. Fortifications not holding up, military low, expertise of military low, reserves low, Kursk a debacle, weapons low. We get the picture. This is why Alinskys is in a panic. This is why they're talking up North Korea all the time. North Korea, man, North Korea. Let's not talk about everything else. Let's just focus on North Korea. And if we just focus on North Korea, maybe no one will notice the catastrophic collapse that is happening in the Donbass. Austin said that the Pentagon's going to be sending more military aid to Ukraine in the coming days. And Blinken, he's talking up North Korea now. Blinken. He said yesterday that there are 8,000, not 3,000, 8,000 North Korean troops deployed to Kursk, which is Russian territory. God forbid that 8,000 North Korean troops have been deployed to Russian territory. That's not allowed. Not allowed. According to Blinken, there have been no clashes, Blinken said, between the North Korean and Ukraine military so far. Anthony Blinken said, adding that they can happen in the coming days. 3,000 troops to Kursk? No. There are 8,000 North Korean troops deploying to Kursk, according to Blinken. And Alinskys is saying that this is a war of two countries against one. Alinskys urges Western allies to take decisive actions on North Korean troop involvement. By the way, Austin, he said that the U.S. military is going to take action. They're going to send more weapons, not only to Ukraine, but they're going to send a lot of weapons to South Korea because of the whole North Korea in Kursk thing. They're going to send more weapons to South Korea. But Alinskys is saying this is a war of two countries against one. Oh my God. Russia and North Korea against Ukraine, according to Alinskys. Ukraine doesn't have any help from any other countries at all? I don't think so. I don't think they've received any help. I don't think they've received one weapon or $1 in help from any other country. It really is a war of two countries against one. Collective West better do something. They better do something quick. Wow. All right. So the Kiev Post, they put out an article with the title, "Has the U.S. really only sent Ukraine 10% of arms promised this year?" Ukraine's President Alinskys said fighting Russia is tough when 9 out of every 10 bucks worth of U.S. arms promised this year haven't shown up. The Pentagon numbers seem to support the claim. Did Alinskys really say, this is the statement that he was making to the media while he was in Iceland. He talked about how only 10% of the money and the weapons promised by the United States have actually arrived to Ukraine. But did Alinskys really say bucks? Did he say 9 out of 10 bucks? I don't think so. Did he say bucks? Bucks. 9 out of 10 bucks. You see my English good. Very good. I know word bucks. Bucks means dollars. Bucks means money. Also basketball team in Milwaukee. Milwaukee? How you pronounce this city, Podolyak? There's this Greek basketball player. He's very good. He plays for Bucks. Yannis Adetokounmpo. I don't know his last name. But he didn't say bucks. Did he say bucks? 9 out of 10 bucks. I've been sidetracked with the bucks thing. That's what the Kiev Post is writing, man. I don't know. That's what they're saying. That's what they're saying Alinskys said. But anyway, let's get serious. Let's get serious. What he's talking about when he says 10%, he's probably right. I actually agree with him that only 10% of everything that was promised to Ukraine by the U.S. has actually arrived in Ukraine. He's talking about the $60 billion that was passed. When was that passed? Like a year ago or 6 months ago, whatever. You know the whole $60 billion thing when Congress, the Senate was they were debating the $60 billion that Biden wanted to send to Ukraine. That was going to be the decisive amount. That was the amount needed to finally defeat Russia, right? That was the argument that Biden was making. We have to give them $60 billion in this big package, and the Senate was saying, yeah, but if we're going to give them $60 billion, then we have to also put in the bill stuff for the border, this and that. Anyway, they finally got it approved. The $60 billion was approved. Because Trump actually told Mike Johnson to approve. Remember that? And the $60 billion was budgeted for Ukraine. But the thing that Alinskys didn't realize that I actually reported on was that back then I reported on this was that the $60 billion was not going to be $60 billion in money and weapons, all of it to Ukraine. That $60 billion that was passed by Congress and by the Biden White House was going to be to cover the holes from all of the weapons that were sent 2-3 years ago, because that hadn't been budgeted in or accounted for. So there's a big hole in the books, and they have to cover that up, right? And a big chunk of the money was going to go to the military-industrial complex in order for them to produce more weapons 2, 3, 4, 5 years out. Contracts. And no one told Alinskys this? I'm a little bit shocked at his statement, because he makes it seem as if he didn't understand what that $60 billion was really for. Did Alinskys actually believe that he's going to be getting a full $60 billion in weapons and money? No. I reported at this over many videos, talking about how the $60 billion, a big chunk of it, has to cover that freaking hole that I guessed was in the balance sheets, in the books of the U.S. government and of the weapons producers. Because what happened at the beginning of the conflict is that Biden, when all of this started, Biden's strategy, the White House's strategy, was a shock and awe strategy, as it always is. It's always shock and awe. And their strategy was that they are going to dispose of Russia quickly. So they're going to place 15,000 sanctions within the first 3 months. It's going to wreck the Russian economy. They're going to send all kinds of weapons to Project Ukraine, and that's going to take down the Russian military. And it's just going to be an all-out collapse within the first 6 months. And so they sent everything to Ukraine, including all kinds of weapons. Weapons that weren't budgeted, that weren't authorized and budgeted and paid for to be sent to Ukraine. And so 2 years later, they have to cover all that up. They have to pay for all of that. The MIC companies are saying, yeah, but you guys owe us for these 20 Abrams tanks that we sent to you guys, that we sent to Ukraine. You still haven't paid for that. We sent those tanks, a year and a half ago, whatever. You guys need to pay us. So that's what part of that $60 billion was for. And the other part was more contracts, Alinskys. Come on, man. Come on. You know this. You know this. So that's why you're only getting 10%. That's why. You're going to have to wait another 5 years while the collective West produces these weapons and artillery shells and tanks and missiles. They're going to need a couple of years to make all this stuff, because everything they sent in the beginning is gone. It's been destroyed by Russia, man. Russia's destroyed all this stuff. So just hold on, hold tight for 3, 4, 5 years, Alinskys, Podolyak, Yermak. And the weapons will come in 3, 4 years. Just don't worry, man. The MIC companies, they're making those weapons. They're cranking out those weapons as fast as they can. It's going to take 3, 4 years. So let's do some clown worlds and we'll wrap this video up. Oh boy, Milei fired his foreign minister, Diana Mondino. You know why he fired her, Javier Milei? He fired her because yesterday Argentina voted in favor of condemning the U.S. embargo on Cuba. And Milei said that wasn't how he wanted Argentina to vote in the UN. So he fired her. Fired. Milei's loyal. He is loyal. You can't. You can criticize Milei or call Milei a lot of things, but one thing you cannot call Milei is that he is disloyal. He is loyal, man. He is absolutely loyal. He fired his foreign minister because of the vote. And now he doesn't specifically say the vote. He doesn't say in the statement that he fired the foreign minister because she voted this way, but he implies it. He implies it that that was the reason. So there are reports that the Ukraine army has been banned from using the word retreat. Can't use that word. Can't use the word retreat. In an interview with Kiev's Radio NV on Wednesday, Vyasta Lazur shared insights gathered from recent conversations with Ukrainian troops and their commanders. I spoke with a soldier on the Pokrovsk front, Lazur said. He said, we received orders to use the words offensive, victory, moving forward, and driving out the enemy when communicating with journalists, but I can't say the word retreat or that the enemy has breached our defenses. Always fighting the media war. The media war. The real war, down here. The media war, up here. Always more important, the media and optics war. This is from an interview conducted, I believe, on Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty. It's a Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty reporter. So this is not coming from the Kremlin or Russian sources or Russian propaganda. This is U.S. propaganda that is saying that they spoke to the Ukraine military, and they're not allowed to use the word retreat when speaking to journalists. They're advancing backwards. They're advancing backwards. Or you have the narrative, the new narrative coming from pro-Ukraine sources is that they're moving backwards, but inflicting damage onto the Russian military. As they move backwards, they inflict damage to the Russian military, and this is all part of the big strategy. That's what they're saying. This is part of the big strategy. To move backwards, but inflict terrible damage to Russia. Just don't say the word retreat. Don't use that word. Okay? Advancing in reverse. Advancing in reverse. What else? What else do we have for a clown world? Did you guys catch Trump's comments on Bolton and on Nord Stream? Trump, I don't understand why he was being interviewed by Tucker Carlson. I don't understand who is advising Trump on these things. Who is advising him on Nord Stream? Who's talking to him about Nord Stream? Please have Trump get in touch with us so we can tell him about Nord Stream. He insists. This reminds me of the whole Koof jab thing. He insists that he's the one that ended Nord Stream. Why? Why do you want to take credit for this? Why? I don't understand it. But that's what he said to Tucker. He's the one that took a hard position against Nord Stream. He's the one that effectively ended Nord Stream. Yeah, the other guys, Gilligan, they blew it up. But Trump was telling Tucker that he's the one that really ended the Nord Stream pipeline, or was close to ending the Nord Stream pipeline, or wanted to end the Nord Stream pipeline. But the skipper and the professor and Marianne, they blew it up and they ended it. But he should have gotten the credit. Who is advising him on this stuff, man? Who? Anyway, he also talked about Bolton. He said Bolton's a dope, a real dope. But he also said that he used Bolton to, when he would go to meetings with world leaders, he would have Bolton there, so the world leaders, they got along with Trump. But then when they would see Bolton, they would say, "Oh crap, now we're gonna have a war," or they're gonna want to talk about a war or something like that, because Bolton was always hanging around. So that was Bolton's use. That was his purpose, to be with him during meetings, so that world leaders would be afraid because they would see Bolton there. So Bolton would be some sort of leverage, some good cop, bad cop type of thing. He even says that he used it in North Korea, and he used it with Putin as well. Putin and him got along, but then he would see Bolton and he would be like, oh crap, the warmonger is with Trump. I don't know. Just say that Bolton was a neocon dope. Just say that and leave it there. That's all you have to say, man. Just leave it there. Everyone understands. No one likes Bolton. Everyone's going to get you on that. Everyone's going to get you. I made a mistake. The neocons, Lindsey Graham, they were whispering in my ear, "You got to hire Bolton. You got to hire Bolton." I hired Bolton. What can I do? I made a mistake. The guy's he did say to Joe Rogan that he made a mistake by hiring Bolton, but the whole, I talked to Putin or North Korea and they were afraid of Bolton. Come on, Putin's not afraid of Bolton. Come on, man. You know that he's not afraid of Bolton. What else? Alinskys, this graffiti in New York. This is coming from Fox News. I see a Fox News watermark on this photo of Alinskys, and from what I understand, this is in New York, and he is on his knees praying, which I don't think he's ever done, but it says, "Please vote for Harris. I need more money." And I said yesterday that the whole Russia fining Google 20 decillion, gajillion dollars, not rubles, dollars, by the way. That's what the court ordered. Was just a troll, just a stunt in order to get Google's attention. I said that in my video yesterday, and that is exactly what it was. Peskov has confirmed that what the court was doing is they put this ridiculous fine of 20 decillion, gazillion dollars on Google in order to send a message to Google, knock it off, quit canceling channels, Russian channels. That was the message, according to Peskov, that Russia wanted to send. That's the video, everybody. TheDuran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, ODYSEE, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and Twitter X. And go to the Duran shop. Pick up some merch like the awesome t-shirt I am wearing today in this video. 20% off all merchandise on the Duran shop. Use the code October20. That is October 20. Take care.